When Ramesvar heard that Bhagawan had blacklisted me, Ramesvar cut off all funding for the Fate Project, which was my service and a project that was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Ramesvar sent a devotee to give me a 2-week eviction notice. He threatened to throw my wife and I and all our belongings out onto the street in 2 weeks. At that time, I had no money, no savings, nothing. I told Ramesvar this and told him, and he told me he didn't believe me. He said all householders have money, but I didn't. I wound up having to borrow money from my parents, and I quickly started my own business, and then I moved to another temple, but I never left ISKCON. The years that followed, though, were very difficult for me. In fact, the rest of my life has been very difficult for me after this. The museum project had been my main service to Srila Prabhupada, and these GBC men took that away from me. And by doing so, they basically took my life away from me. I felt totally broken inside for years, not being able to do the service that I had trained myself to do for Srila Prabhupada. Bhagawan's curse actually followed me for many years. His curse was that I would never be able to render service in ISKCON again. It seemed to haunt me for the rest of my life. I made attempts to revive the Fate Project, and there were even several projects that I was supposed to work on, but every time something came up. And it never happened that I ever got to work on a project again. So basically, I watched my whole life go by. I never had the engagements again. But just see at that time in 1985, what constituted cause enough to kick a Prabhupada disciple out of what was supposed to be Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON mission. Just the refusal to reject Srila Prabhupada's instructions, refusing to accept one of the new guru's instructions over and above those given by Srila Prabhupada. I wasn't Ramesvar's disciple or Bhagawan's disciple. I was Srila Prabhupada's disciple. But refusing to reject Srila Prabhupada's instructions, that alone Ramesvar considered was cause for kicking me out. According to him, I was just stuck living in the past by still wanting to fulfill Prabhupada's instructions. And at that time, I was a sought-after devotee because of my ability to produce multimedia presentations. I mean, I had Kirtanananda wanted me to come to make a museum there. Tamal Krishna wanted me to come and do something in Dallas. I had offers all over Australia, and I was a sought-after devotee back then. Bhagawan was going to give me this whole TV studio with cameras and a whole crew, and so I could produce TV shows and multimedia presentations and all of these things. And devotees were offering me all sorts of, different GBC. I was sought after, but that didn't matter if I wasn't willing to give up trying to follow Srila Prabhupada and just follow one of them instead. And for Bhagawan, it was just that I had dared to even try to give him some sound Shastric advice out of a genuine concern for him. I just didn't want to see him fall down. And I was sincere and I was just sincerely trying to help him. But to him, the fact that I had dared, tried to give him, the great Lord B, Lord Bhagawan, the Sun King, that I dared to give him advice, he considered that as being insubordination, offense worthy of being kicked out of Srila Prabhupada's mission. The only thing that was so big about these men were their overinflated egos. No wonder so many of Prabhupada's disciples, they were either kicked out or they left and became those fringe devotees. Many of them felt that they had no choice but to leave ISKCON at that time. There truly was no place in that false ISKCON that these men had created for sincere followers and disciples of Srila Prabhupada at that time. That's how bad things had become. I know the first time that I heard a devotee use the term "it's gone" as a pseudonym for ISKCON, I felt that was disrespectful. But the most sad and unfortunate fact was the ISKCON that Srila Prabhupada had founded was gone at that time. Even though I had gone through all of this, I still never remembered those dark feelings and that darkness of that incident from 1977. And all the, I knew that they had lied about it, but the darkness of the unanswered questions that I had, what did Srila Prabhupada really want, all that was still buried. It didn't even come out, even going through all these nasty dealings that I had with these zonal acharya gurus.